I just want to say that you don't need those institutions. I was talking to a friend of mine who was, he's been in and out of jail most of his life, and he's struggling right now, in life, just to do the right things and form healthy practices and healthy habits and stuff. And I was telling him, I was like, man, you know that joke that I think it's Kevin Hart tells? He's like talking to his cousin who's in jail, and his cousin's like, you should see me, bro. You should see me, cuz I've been working out every day and reading books. And Kevin Hart's is like, Negro, you could have done that outside of jail. And yeah, so the idea is that, man, we don't need these institutions. And it got me to thinking, like, man, even on that level, you know what I'm saying, of coming out of prison, being in and out of prison, and prison refining you as a man and making you make wiser choices and be, take leadership and ownership of yourself every day. In prison, you have less freedom, which makes you more structured, which gives you the structure that you need to survive, later on. But whenever a person comes out of prison, it's almost like pulling teeth for them to get themselves to do the right thing and to maintain those disciplines. But it got me to thinking, like, man, there are just people in prisons, in and out of prison, that struggle in that area. There are people that struggle in that area on a job, you know what I'm saying? They struggle in that area on a job, and the mundaneness and monotony of the task, the repetition, that keeps them in order, keeps them in line, keeps them sane. Some people, old people, are known to die once they stop doing their morning routines, their daily routines. It's like their serving keeps them alive, And so that's how we find so much meaning and purpose in a job, to where it holds us together. But these things are not what hold us together. Our identity in Christ holds us together. And then you take it to an even deeper level and say that, the Matrix is like a whole system or institution in itself, and everyone inside of the Matrix, we're afraid to leave it because it's all we know. And the perpetual repetition of it gives us familiarity, it gives us comfort, it gives us order and structure. And if we had total freedom outside of the Matrix, how could we know that we would survive? How could we have faith in ourselves and our own ability to lead ourselves, And this is the deeper message, because, the children of Israel had to break free of Egypt, and Egypt was all they had known for 400 years. And they had to break free of that. How hard was it for them to lead themselves when they got broke free of Egypt, when God delivered his people, and now they're in this desert land and they're just a free people? All this freedom, like, how hard was it for them to lead themselves? But God is definitely believing in us to be the best version of ourselves. And the prison system limits a man's potential. It refines a man for a time, but if he were to stay there, it limits him. A job limits a man's potential. It may refine him and give him a skill set for a time, but if he were to stay there, it limits him. The Matrix limits this country's ultimate potential. The Matrix limits, the institution of the Matrix limits the people. If we, while we're here, it definitely confined us and kept us in order and kept us together and held us together for so long. But after a while, if we stay here, we will be limiting ourselves. And God has called us to be kings. Jesus is the King of kings. He is the King, the ruler of rulers. He has called us to be rulers like him. And so it is a time, there will come a time when God calls us to something higher. And it will require us to lead ourselves to the degree that we will no longer depend on others to manage us. It's scary. It's unfamiliar. There's a lot of discipline that is required to sustain us, that will need to come from within us. But God refuses to let us settle. And I just think that's an important point to pull out, that whatever level you're on, if you were to stay there, you would limit your potential. And a lot of time we get comfortable in places just because of the repetition of it all that keeps us in order, gives us familiarity, and the safety and comfort of that slowly kills us. But God is a God of life, and He leads us to life eternal, and He is a God that refuses to see us settle for anything less than our full potential. And so yeah, I was telling my bro, like, man, you can lead yourself, man. You are out of prison. And remember, I was telling you, remember when you were in prison and you were working out every day, you had your morning prayer routine, you had a routine, you had a consistent regimen, you were on top of your game. You can do that now. I was like, lead yourself. You're powerful. You're powerful. Lead yourself. You have it in you. You can do this. You don't have to succumb to substance abuses, and you don't have to be drawn away with every desire. You don't have to be tossed to and fro by the waves of life and the wind. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to fall because of double-mindedness. You can have focus. You can be in control of yourself. You have power. And another thing I was telling him was like, hey, you know what the devil is really trying to distract you from right now in your life? He knows that all your life, and I was telling him, like, you're a leader, man. You've led other people. You've been leading people since you were 9 years old. You've been leading before you even knew what a leader was. I was like, you have it in you to do remarkable things, man. And I was like, you know, the devil has been trying to distract you from all this time. He knows that for the first time in life, all of that greatness, all that leadership that you poured into others, all that power and potential that you poured into others, for the first time in life, you're getting ready to pour it into yourself. And in this moment in life, you're going to reap every single thing that you blessed others with for years now, for your entire life. You're about to finally see what it's like for it to be bestowed upon you. As you turn all that good stuff that you poured into others on yourself, you're about to finally get to reap the blessings of who you are. And no one's going to get the fruit of this. You're going to get the fruit of this. This is a message in itself. So many people give away all of the things all the goodness that's inside them to others who squander it and waste it, and they get held back, and they never go forward in life. They never see their true potential, and they won't until the day comes when they finally realize, or they finally come to the epiphany that they're going to take all the good that they've poured into so many people, and finally they're going to bestow it upon themselves. They're going to love themselves unconditionally. They're going to lead themselves. They're going to give themselves boundaries. They're going to protect themselves. They're going to love themselves. They're going to do right by themselves. You know? And you know, it's just we've got so many different ways that people become toxic, man. You could be toxic towards people. You could be toxic towards yourself, or you could be toxic towards God, you know? And in all cases, a man becomes just toxic. But you could be giving to people and toxic towards yourself. You know what I'm saying? You could be loving God and keeping all the commandments and treating people like garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many ways. But that flow, that Trinity flow of love God, love yourself, and love people, when you keep that in a healthy order, you're always going to be strong enough to withstand anything. And sometimes God will break you down so that you can recognize the need for one of those areas to be strengthened. You'll cave in that area. You'll give all you have to somebody who runs off with it, and you'll continue to fall apart as an individual. You know what I'm saying? You'll love God so much, but you neglect your family, and your family will go amok, and all hell will break loose in your home because you're not loving yourself. You're not loving those close to you, but you love God so much, but you forgot to love people. You know what I'm saying? It's so many ways, man. And in so many ways, a lot of people fall victim to that. Loving others more than themselves. Word.